welcome to Garage Lore Podcast, episode number 21, the Spiro episode. As always, I am one half your tag team champions, Jeff. And joining me, as always, is the immaculate Chicago gentleman himself, Tim. And Tim, something seems a little different about this podcast today. Well, it
Yeah,
depends on how
just a little.
the
How you're
if
consuming
you
it.
are how you're consuming this podcast today. Because if you're just doing it audio, then it's everything's normal. But this is our first foray into the video aspect of podcasting. And if you haven't checked out our YouTube channel, you could find us podcasting on YouTube now also. But it's been a while since we've done an episode. I want to know, Tim, how have you been?
Uh, been doing all right, I guess. I don't know.
Uh-huh. I
Been
know.
doing a lot of
Yeah,
streaming and
go ahead.
stuff lately. I don't know.
Oh yes, we have been busy, and first and foremost, we have to do our podcast tradition. Tim, would you be interested in hearing about the Pokemon Spearow?
Spiro,
Spearow?
spear row. It's a row of spears, is what it is,
Oh, okay,
in the form
understandable.
of a bird.
Don't let Spearow's size fool you. This little bird has a ferocious temper. Its leer technique lowers an enemy's defenses, but Spearow has to flap its short wings very hard to stay in the air. And Tim, now that we're in the world of video podcasting, I can finally flex that I actually do have the official Pokemon handbook. I
I had one
wasn't
of
just
those.
reading these off like a wiki or off like a website. I am a true Pokemon fanatic. I have the official handbook. So there you go,
That
everyone. There is.
looks very familiar to me. I think I had that exact same book or
Oh
something
no,
like
no,
that.
no. You must be mistaken. It's one of a kind. It was only a
Oh,
true
right, right.
Pokemon master such as myself would have something like that.
Are you saying I'm not?
Did you ever actually get all 150?
No,
Okay.
I don't.
I
I don't remember. I don't think so.
I got on the original Red and Blue, the original 150. Just to see, like this was back before like GameFAQs or internet guides or anything like that. So I was like, what happens when you get all of them and you talk to the guy in Celadon City? And imagine my disappointment where you just get like a screen that says you did it. Here's a certificate saying you did the thing. Man.
Take your game to your local blockbuster to print out the receipt or certificate or whatever.
On my front, if you're watching the video format of this, you'll see that I have a fancy new microphone, and hopefully, if you've been following us on Twitch or YouTube or anything like that, you've noticed an increase in at least my audio quality. Hopefully, my old headset was getting a little. It was the ear flaps were getting torn off and shit. It was getting gross. I needed to get something new, and I said to myself, let me do something nice for myself. I got the whole setup with the fancy mic and the arm that attaches to the desk. So I feel like a true podcaster now, Tim.
Yeah,
Moving
that's
up
what
in the
I do.
world. Yeah, I'm on your level now. Finally,
Yep. Hopefully, this didn't make a lot of noise when recording, but
I didn't hear anything if it did.
yeah, should be
Anyway,
good.
what's been going on? What's been going on in your world, Tim? How does it feel to be in the world of video podcasting? This is ooh fancy.
Um, I can finally see things. That if that's how that works, right? I don't know.
We've opened our
It's
third eye.
yeah. We're on this track to every 20 episodes do something different with the podcast. So, and episode 41, we're gonna have smell-o-vision. You know,
Television.
we're gonna add extra senses.
Well, at some point, we're going to have a podcast guest. We just don't know who that's going to be
That's
yet.
true.
With you and I having ties to the Chicago game dev industry, surely we'll pull in someone. We
Yeah,
just don't know
we
who
could do
it'll
that.
be yet. I have someone I'd like to bring in, but I don't want to make any promises just
Yeah,
yet to
yeah,
anyone.
yeah.
But on that note, we've got a lot to discuss, and it's been again a while since we recorded a podcast episode. But something I want to talk about is some of the content we've been creating, not just to plug our other content, but like because I've just been having so much fun with it. I got to rank magic cards once again, which was fun because it's like we've previously did that in an audio
Yeah.
only podcast episode, and I would imagine that wasn't great to consume as a listener because we're trying to describe what the card is, and you're like try to visualize it in your mind's eye, and the fact that we were able to do that on Twitch and upload it to YouTube, that's fun. That's fun, and
Yeah.
it sounded like I remember at the end of that episode, it was like, yeah, all these cards are banned.
They're just too good.
Yeah, you just gave me a set of OP cards.
Yeah.
And speaking of magic here, it seems like you got something you want to discuss from a hot scoop from the world of the magic community.
It's not super hot. So someone made a bot, an AI bot thing that I'm not entirely sure what the parameters of it are, but they just basically are generating actual magic cards based on some kind of input. And so someone basically compiled a bunch of cards into a list of like these are feasibly actual playable cards, like they'll function sort of. And they made what is called a cube in Magic. It's a thing that's it's something that exists in like other trading card games as well, I think, but it's essentially just like here's a collection of cards for the purpose of drafting, which is just a way to play with a group of people using the same limited pool of cards and then build a deck from the cards that you're drafting. So I had seen like a stream of a group of people doing this, and I'm like, oh, that looks like an interesting thing to do. And they put out, and the person who made the people who made this collection, they put it out online, so it's available. It's called Robo Rosewater Masters Spiral Chaos, and the name is just like kind of just a mishmash of a bunch of Magic the Gathering related terms because it's like it's very AI generated for a lot of this stuff. And
What do you mean when you say
some
Magic
of
the
the cards.
Gathering cube?
Okay, so normally what you would do when there are like different formats of Magic. Like one is constructed where you're playing with like a deck that you made, and then there's limited where you're building a deck from a limited selection of cards, which is usually from like booster packs and stuff. So like you open a handful of booster packs and then build a deck just from that small set, and that's it. And so a cube is like you take like a few hundred cards, shuffle it all together, and then sort it out to like a group of like I'd say like 6 to 8 people typically, and then everyone's just drafting cards from the same collection of cards and then building a deck from that. So you'll have like
Oh,
I think it's like 45 ish, something like that, for a draft, and then you just build a deck
so
from that.
me being a more sports minded person, is this working like the NBA draft where there's like,
You
okay,
just
you
take
want to get
turns,
the
like
card that, okay,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Well, I mean, you're not so much taking turns in that like because everyone has their own like booster pack sort of thing. You're all drafting from the same set of booster packs, but you're like passing the booster packs around every time you pick something from your booster pack. I've drafted like I don't know dozens of times from like I could show you a box of Magic cards that I have that is just I have dedicated just for drafting purposes, and that's kind of like what that is. It's just
Okay. Oh.
a basically a curated list of cards sort of thing. Just yeah.
Interesting. How many people would normally play with a cube of Magic cards? Is this
Um,
item?
like I've played like I have my own cube, for example, and I've played with I want to say like 7 or 8 people at one point, and it's you only
Okay.
play like 1v1 games typically, but you draft together as a group of like 8 people or however many people your cube can support, and that's just
Okay.
based on however many cards you have in your collection, sort of thing.
Interesting. AI made cards.
Yeah,
What a time to be
and
alive.
it's funny because like half of the cards I think from that collection were they used actual they'll use real art for some of it, and then some cards it was like the other half it was just AI generated, so it was just the weirdest like Cthulhu esque looking horror like art you would see. and it just made no sense.
Robo, Robo, Rosewater, Masters, Spiral Chaos. You'll have to link me to some of that AI made
Yeah,
art because now I'm interested.
yeah.
How does an AI interpret magic art?
I don't know.
Well, on that note, in terms of things you and I have been doing a lot of lately, I have been playing alongside you what I like to call Viking Minecraft, and we this is something we streamed on Twitch, and it's funny because let me preface this by saying I went through a big Minecraft phase where I don't know, I played it on console and I got super into it. This was around the time of I don't know, 2020 or 2019 where every big YouTuber suddenly got onto the Minecraft bandwagon,
Yeah,
I think.
it.
And that's what got me onto the Minecraft bandwagon. So, I went through that phase and, eventually you get tired of playing Minecraft, right?
Yeah,
So when we got onto Valheim and I saw that it had it evoked similar types of feelings of world building and base building and exploration that I had experienced in Minecraft. If you rewatch that first episode of us playing together, I'm enjoying it, but at the same time, I'm kind of like,
yeah,
I've experienced this. I've experienced this before, but I think in that second episode where we fought the first boss, Eikthyr,
yeah,
I think that's what got me hooked. I think there was one point in that boss fight where we spawned the boss, and and in my head I'm thinking, we're just doing this to get some laughs. We'll get bodied by this boss, and then we'll pick it up in the next episode. We'll be properly prepared. But then something magical happened, Tim. We actually started doing a little bit of damage to its health. And at one point during that fight, I said something like, we're not ending this stream until this boss is beaten, because you and I are both very QA minded people, right? And so when I saw that clearly we're not ready for this boss, clearly, but the
yeah.
fact that we
We're
are
fine.
damaging it
Yeah,
means that it's possible. And so, me being stubborn minded and QA minded, I had to beat this boss on that episode. And when we did, I was finally on the bandwagon. And here's the thing with Valheim, it has a complexity to it that is hard at first because, again, there's a bunch of runestones to read. There's the tutorial bird that follows you around. But the fact that I was playing with you, Tim, and the fact that I was able to just ask you these quick questions like, what's the point of eating? And then it's like, oh,
yeah,
right, because you get these buffs and there's no point not to eat. The
yeah.
fact that I was able to,
Yeah,
yeah, go ahead.
yeah. The interesting, like that's an interesting mechanic of the game. The food mechanic is like in Minecraft, for example. Like if you don't eat, you just slowly die, right? Something like that.
If I'm remembering correctly, if
Or like
you
that's
have,
very typical of a lot of these survival games. At least you just slowly die or whatever, right? And
I think you also have to eat to recover health in Minecraft.
yeah, something like that. And in the case of Valheim, like if you wanted to, you don't have to eat at all. But there's a benefit to eating in that it raises your stamina level and it also raises your maximum health. So like there's a big benefit to doing it. But otherwise, like if you don't want to eat, you can just completely ignore that whole mechanic if you wanted to.
And it's funny, we've done 2 episodes of Valheim on Twitch so far, and we streamed it, and it's on our YouTube channel as well. But Tim and I hanging out on Discord, we're like, yeah, let's hop into Valheim. Let's do a bit of base building off stream, just so that there's not so much of us gathering items next time we hop onto a Twitch stream. And boy, howdy, did we spend a lot of time this last weekend just
Yep.
doing a bunch of base building. We have a beach house, and by we, I mean Tim built it, and I just happened to move in. But we've gathered materials. We've gathered, what is it, tin and copper, and we've made bronze. We've got fancy bronze weaponry and armor. We finally took down a troll, which
Yeah. Which what didn't take that much effort, really.
of us playing off stream, I regret that we didn't get my initial reaction to seeing a troll for the first time because I instinctively ran away and it just followed me. It just
I
kept
thought
going
we
for me and
did
eventually
on
got
a
me.
stream, but I could be misremembering.
Maybe maybe you saw one
Yeah.
and got did a crafty escape, but my first experience
Definitely
seeing a
not like an
troll
actual
was
fight or anything. I don't think.
right, right. But that's my one regret that we didn't get that reaction off on stream. But I think we're on our way to do a bit of sailing to fight the next boss
Yeah,
next time we stream. So I'm excited for that. And we had like a day where we played like, well, I played 12 hours straight of Valheim
yeah.
because yeah, I hopped on a little early, you hopped on a little later. But man, dude, I it is just evoking everything I remember feeling about Minecraft when I was in my Minecraft phase. I'm just really excited to see what's next. We have a boar. What did we name the boar? What was his
Oh,
name again?
jeez.
Meat hunks, because you're
Yeah, right, right,
macaroni and
right,
cheese.
right.
We're macaroni and cheese, and we we have meat hunks.
Yeah,
Oh man,
we're still not even
yeah,
like we haven't even hit like all the bosses or any. Like we've only done one boss so far, and I think there's at least
five.
5 or 6 maybe, and then there's just like and each boss is basically in its own biome and everything, and each biome has its own set of new materials. So then for building and art and weapons and armor and all that stuff, so it's like it kind of just keeps expanding as we go.
What is the furthest you've gotten when you played solo, Tim? I think I've asked you before, but you beat two or three bosses on your own.
I think I only did two,
Okay,
and then was starting to get into like the third biome, and that's about it.
okay. So this after this next boss, we are embarking on uncharted territory for you, which is going to be exciting.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to, as much as I enjoy committing 12 hours to playing Valheim, I'm trying not. I want to pull back on that a bit
Yeah,
because
yeah,
those kinds of sessions is what got me out of the
yeah.
Minecraft
You
hype.
just get burned out on
Because
that kind of thing.
right, like you build a nice home for yourself, and you're like, did I really just spend 8 hours building this thing? I
Yeah,
try
I
to
think I
reel
spent the
myself in a
bulk.
bit.
It wasn't the bulk of it because it was broken up when we were doing that like Saturday, just hanging out playing that whole thing. I think it wasn't the bulk of that where I was building, but it was probably split up between mining together the materials as well as like just actually building.
Okay, but yes, be sure to look forward to more of us playing Valheim on stream and on YouTube. But on that note, on other games we've been playing, I started my own save file in Infernax, and when you first streamed it on Twitch, Tim, I was fascinated because I saw as someone who loves Castlevania, I've played how many Castlevanias have I played? All the DS ones, Symphony of the Night, the Super Nintendo one, Castlevania 4, the PlayStation Collection ones. I've played a lot of
Okay.
Castlevania, so when I saw it for the first time, you streaming it, I wanted to play it so bad, and I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to do it on stream. But man, some of these dialogue choices catching me off guard. Like, I'm just now because I knew there were multiple endings of the game, but I thought they
Yeah.
were like, clown endings because some of those endings are purely for jokes if you do something ridiculous.
Yeah.
But now it's dawning on me that maybe I should have researched what choices I should have
Nah.
made before. Nah, just just purely
I
whatever
mean,
ending I get is whatever ending.
there was that one that I made on the stream was like I think we were at a point where we were trying to figure out where I had to go next. And
Hmm.
so I'm like, well, the only thing I can see that I have to that is a possibility is there's this dam and it for some reason someone asked me to break it, so I'm going to do that. And it turned out to be a bad decision of because it flooded the nearby town or whatever. So like
Right,
I could have
right,
completely skipped that. I didn't need to do that. It was just like because we were just trying to find something that I needed to do or to progress. But yeah, there's definitely choices that you'll make along the way, questionable or otherwise.
right. And if you're avoiding Infernax spoilers, maybe skip ahead a few minutes here. But I had a choice where it was like, I passed by a group of vagabonds and they were just minding their own business. So I walked by and I go into a guy's house and he was like, "Hey man, you gotta get these guys out of here. They're not meant to be here." And so, it gives me a side quest about like deal with these vagabonds, step outside, and I have the dialogue with them, and the lead guy is like, "Yeah, we're just gonna rest up and we'll get out of your hair. Come have a drink with us." And I was like, "Oh yeah, this seems like a compassionate choice. Surely
Mm-hmm.
I I want to play a compassionate, pacifist run, and then let's just say I might not have made the right choice there, based based on what ended up happening with the guy who told me to get the vagabonds out of there.
Yeah, I think most of the choice. I'm pretty sure every choice in the game is a binary choice. It's just choose one or the other, and it's possible like some lead to some choices later down the road, but every like choice that you're presented with is always like you choose one option or the other.
Uh huh. Uh huh. But we'll see if I'm headed toward a good ending or a bad ending. But I am very much enjoying Infernax as someone who loves Castlevania. Uh, on the note of other classic games we've been playing, we have played Streets of Rage 4 on stream, and we finished normal difficulty. Tim, did you enjoy Streets of Rage 4 as someone who never previously played any of them?
Yeah, yeah. It was
Mm-hmm.
like it was nice that it's a shorter game so that we can get through it quicker and do like other things if we wanted to beyond that. Because
Uh-huh.
like the a problem I have with beat 'em ups is they tend to get samey. Like if you
Uh-huh.
for especially if they're particularly long or something. But it you got through all the content relatively quickly, and I think the characters are varied enough that it doesn't feel like quite the same with each one.
So I enjoyed Streets of Rage 4 enough, and playing it with you particularly, because when I played solo, I struggled against some of the fights. When I played it with you, I enjoyed it a lot. I got the Mr. X Nightmare DLC, and they have a survival mode where you can unlock new moves for the characters. And I ended up doing like a deep dive into Streets of Rage 4 YouTubers who do like these immaculate Mania Plus difficulty runs where they'd never drop a combo. They have a ridiculous like 500 hit combo going into the boss of a stage. And I'm trying to learn that stuff, and I'm trying to unlock all the moves in survival mode. And Tim, if you're down for it, I'm interested to try survival mode with you at some point on stream. I won't ask you to play Mania Plus difficulty because it's something else. Let me tell you, from me playing, me making my attempts at Mania Plus, I don't want you to get tilted with it, but I do want to at least try survival mode with you.
Yeah, it was interesting because it wasn't just like fight through waves of enemies and that's it. It was like you do that, but then there's also at the end of each level you're presented with like a handful of
Pickups.
different
Yeah.
like permanent power ups like only one person can get them, but you can only get one of like I think you're presented like two or three different options, and then you get one
Yes.
permanently. And it's funny how they all stack. Like they don't cancel each other out or anything as far as I know, but like
Nope.
they just stack. So you have like a variety of different elements and stuff like that.
Yeah, the if it was just plain survival mode, that'd be kind of lame. But
Yeah,
they mix it up by being like, okay, you finish this wave, pick one of these power up pickups, and it's something like, do you want to add electricity to your special attack, or add toxic effect to your special attack, or flames, and they stack. So you can have
yeah.
flames and toxic and electric, and like there are some pickups,
There's some slight functional differences between them too.
right? And there's some pickups that have like unique trade-offs, like you do more damage, but now you can't jump. And then you have to make this decision of like,
Yeah,
how often am I jumping? Maybe I can sacrifice jumping. I picked up that one and it ended up being a mistake. I needed my jump. But it's really fun, and it's fun unlocking the new moves for the characters because like one of Axel's default blitz attack, for example, is an uppercut, but you unlock a thing where he does like a fire roll, and from my experience, doing that fire roll is easier for doing combos. So playing
huh?
survival mode also unlocks abilities that make the main story and the main arcade mode more fun because you unlock new combo ideas, and at the same time you unlock some of the boss characters to make playable in the arcade and story mode, like Shiva, Estelle, and Max. I like Estelle and Shiva. Shiva might be a little OP. He might be. I don't know if I streamed that for you, Tim, but he's got some like weird air dash teleport combo that strikes me as a little broken. But that's
Yeah,
maybe we'll show that on stream. But on the topic of old school games, or Streets of Rage 4 is not old school, but it comes from the old school.
right. Yeah,
On the topic of old school games, we debuted our new series, Tim, Never be game over. Never. Tim, have you ever been game over?
I have never be game over.
I have never be game over either. And we debuted this new series with the game Shock Troopers, which is a game that I enjoy quite a bit. And the concept is that we try to finish a game without ever seeing the game over screen. And Shock Troopers was on Neo Geo. And how would I describe Shock Troopers? It's not comparing it to Contra is not quite accurate. Comparing it, it's if you've played Heavy Barrel on the Nintendo Entertainment System, it's more akin to like a Heavy Barrel. But we did our first stream of it, and that was a non-canon stream. We saw a
Of
game over
course.
screen, but that's like the X-Men, doing a VR mission to
The
get
v-
ready for Magneto. That's
the danger room, is that
non-canon.
what they
That
call it?
didn't happen. Yeah, the Danger Room, exactly.
Yeah.
It was Danger Room VR, and Professor Xavier says, "All right, you guys, now you're ready to fight Magneto. So next time we stream, never be game over. We'll do a Shock Troopers again,
And we'll
and
fight Magneto.
you have my guarantee that we will not be game over. That is a Jeff guarantee. That is
I'm
that
not
is a
making that
that's
guarantee.
that's a promise. That's a promise. I swear by a sausage McMuffin that we will not see a game over screen. But
Am
look
I
forward to
getting these
that.
sausage McMuffins? Is that the deal?
No, we'll make that a business expense for our fans and listeners that Jeff's making sausage McMuffin bets. And on that note, well, before we move on, I want to ask you, Tim, did you enjoy Shock Troopers? Because I played it originally when it was on SNK Classics Collection on Nintendo Wii, and I adored it. I love Shock Troopers, but were you enjoying it?
Yeah. Yeah. Um, I think I don't know if you made the comparison originally, but it's definitely reminds me of Contra, which I played a lot of when I was younger.
Nice.
So it definitely reminds me of that, except with the addition that you have actual characters with some tangible differences. So that's cool.
I guess I hesitate to call it like Contra because Contra is like side scrolling, whereas
Not
a game like Heavy
entirely,
Barrel and Shock Troopers is like top down.
right? But
But
it is
it
like it has
looks,
a lot of
yeah, go ahead.
similarities. Yeah,
Yeah, in the sense that you have bullets flying at you and you got to
yeah.
figure out how do I get out of the way of these.
And there's like there's no platforming elements like there would be in Contra.
Uh huh. But and on the topic of things we've been streaming, let's talk about. I don't know if you guys have been following us on YouTube, but I have a lot of thoughts on the Sexy Brutale, and mostly positive because I've been enjoying the Sexy Brutale. And if you have never played this game and you're going to, maybe skip ahead a few minutes here because we got some spicy spoilers, especially from the last time we streamed. But man, I thought we were nearing the end of the game because we
Yeah,
got all the masks, right? Where we're missing one mask or something like we
I think we got
we
all the
went into that
masks.
last episode
Yeah,
missing one mask. So in my head, I'm like, we're closing in on endgame. We're
yeah,
gonna we're gonna finish this game in the next episode. Oh, how wrong can Jeff be?
yep,
Because we have unraveled. There's like more to this story than meets the eye, especially with the ketchup lady. Seems like she's got some lore that we're gonna learn about. And there was like we had never gone to the garden area of the Sexy Brutale. Like we opened it with by breaking the glass, but we never went out that way. And it's like there's a secondary guest house or something with a pregnant woman and a crib. And then like eventually we were able to get in there and we saw like the Sexy Brutale on fire and we had like a weird dream sequence
yep,
and we're learning about Lucas and Eleanor and I think Eleanor is the pregnant lady. But whatever the case may be, there is more to this game than what I had
yep.
anticipated.
Yeah, I was
And
originally thinking like, oh, we're just gonna do maybe two more streams. One is gonna be like we're probably wrapping up some loose ends and collecting whatever else needs to be collected, and then the follow up stream will be the actual conclusion. But it's like we didn't finish collecting, and there's also a lot more to do, or there's still more to do at least.
yeah, we just got the ability to walk through the mirrors, right?
Yeah,
But we still haven't gotten the ability to open the blue flame doors. So
yeah,
there's more that we're and we still need to get the invitations from the different guests. as
Yeah, so
well
there's
as
still stuff to collect.
we're missing like 5 cards or something. And again, like I've avoided story spoilers, but I do think I saw something about multiple endings, and I do think it's tied to the collectible. So I'm going to make an effort to get all those. But man, I mentioned this in my like, I did like a casual review of Sexy Brutale in our YouTube channel, but we had one of those again, like a Phoenix Wright moment where it's like you have to solve this the way the game wants you to. So we're just kind of like trial and error, trying to brute force our way through what we're supposed to do next. And that's what we had in the last episode with like the tree in the jail cell. It's like we planted it and or we watered it and nothing happened. And it was like, well, we're not supposed to be here. Let's go let's go look around a bit. And thankfully you brought up, returning to the jail cell and we
Yeah.
saw that it grew a bit
I was trying
and
to
that
like
cube.
guide you in that area because I did come across that naturally of like, all right, I see this thing. There's some water. Here's a tree sapling. I'm gonna pour the water on this tree, and then I come back later because like there's nothing else in that room other than that really. So I'm like, well, I
Right.
gotta go check on this next time I'm out this way. So I did that, and I noticed like, oh, the tree's different this time. So I'm gonna keep doing this until something happens.
I do think, I don't want to play armchair game designer, but that's the only instance of that game where you do a thing in one loop and then something changes in the next loop
Yeah,
around. So that's why that threw me off. It's like, okay, in my head I was thinking this tree's going to reset regardless. Like I got it. It's not supposed to be water, right? It's supposed to be the electrolytes that plants crave. That's going to give. I need to find something to water this with that's not water. But yeah, that's. I'm still adoring the Sexy Brutale.
yeah.
I
It reminds me
like
of God, what was that game? 12 Minutes, I think. That
oh,
came
this is
out
better
last
than
year.
12 minutes. Come
No,
on
no,
now.
no, not that. In 12 Minutes, that game was a time loop game, and pretty much everything you did in one loop did like nothing carried over from what I remember. But there was like a handful of things that were mostly just Easter egg things. Like there was a plant where like you could water it every loop, and each progressive loop it would just that plant would grow slightly, but it had no effect on the actual outcome of the game as far as I knew. So that's kind of what it reminded me of.
Uh-huh. But yeah, please look forward to us playing more of the Sexy Brutale because I've certainly been enjoying it. I
Yeah,
am itching to get back into that, especially like I feel like we're at the end, but the more I feel that way, the more I feel like no, we're not, dude.
we're just
There's
hit the
more.
upside down castle. This is what it
We
is.
are at the Castlevania upside down castle, dude.
Yep.
There's like that last episode. There's a dude in a tube. There's just a dude in a tube. Who is that dude? Is that I was rewatching us recording that, and I was like, I had so many weird theories about like, is Lucas the guy on the operating table? Is Lucas the bad guy? But then as I was rewatching the footage, I'm like, oh, Lucas has got to be the dude in the tube, right? I don't know. We'll find it. Like we left off on a good cliffhanger too, because the bad guy was like, just past these doors is the truth. So I am itching. I am avoiding spoilers. I
It
want
was
my
literally the
my
credits.
raw
No.
reaction. But on that note, stuff we've been doing off stream. Tim, sounds to me like you've been playing some Dark Souls Remastered.
Yeah. I when I got the Steam Deck a couple months ago now, I forget when. Um, that was like one of the first games I loaded up on that, and I played a chunk of it on the Steam Deck, and then the rest of it I kind of just played on my PC. Um, and I finished a playthrough of it, and then I was like, there's I've noticed that I don't have all the achievements on this game on the PC, so I'm going to try to get all the achievements. So then I started up another playthrough to try to get specific achievements that I like require doing things that I missed in the first playthrough. And then also part of that first playthrough, I probably spent like an entire weekend just grinding specific items just to get a certain achievement. So it's like there's still a lot of stuff for me to do in that game that after having played hundreds of hours of this game through multiple playthroughs, like there's still plenty of things for me to do outside of achievements. But now I'm just like, I'm going to try to actually get all these achievements. and one of them is like requires like three, I think at minimum three full playthroughs of New Game Plus and stuff like that. Um, so that's kind of where I'm at with that game, is just trying to wrap up everything as far as achievements go.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Is that something you feel like you'd want to do on stream?
No, because like the achievements, some of them are just like, hey, collect all of these specific items, and so it's like, well, they're spread throughout the entire game, through an entire playthrough, so it's gonna take a bit.
Well, outside the world of video games, we've been watching a lot of stuff, and
Yeah,
we finished season one of Our Flag Means Death, which I don't know if we discussed this last episode. I don't know if we even started last time we did a podcast, but like we started watching this,
yeah,
and I was pleasantly surprised by how quirky it was, how different it was, and like going in blind, I was overjoyed with just how quirky this show is, and
yeah,
then after we finished it, like I felt a longing for a season two.
yep,
And it's funny because not long after, like the first day of Pride Month, of course they announced Our Flag Means Death season two.
yep.
So I'm excited.
You don't expect a pirate comedy to be a romantic comedy, but it is.
Yeah, that was the it's a romantic comedy all along.
But now it's like, yeah, because it originally aired like, what's that, like January or February, and usually like these shows that come out on streaming services, they'll, like, if they do well within, you know, first couple months or whatever, they'll usually announce that they're renewing it, or sometimes they'll even announce that it's been renewed like before it even launches. And in this case, there was a lot of um, like a lot of chatter online about it, like, is this actually going to get renewed or no? And then they finally announced that it was renewed like just a week ago or something like that.
Yeah. I want to cosplay as Steed Bonnet.
It was funny, like when I think when we were watching it, I didn't realize that Steve Bonnet was a real person or anything like that, or maybe he wasn't, but just at least like outside the show, like it
Well,
wasn't a
he
character
was
made for the show.
real,
Yeah,
but they're making a comedic version of him,
yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
the gentleman pirate and all that.
Yeah. I thought it was purely a character made purely for the show, not just like here's this actual character that existed outside this.
It's funny because like as we again spoilers if you're avoiding Our Flag Means Death spoilers, but like as season one ended, there was a good chunk of B stories that didn't get wrapped up, like the whole thing
Yeah,
with Jim. Jim never fought all the like what she's got like 7 or 8 bad guys that she's got to hunt down responsible for the death of her family or something like that, and she never really resolved that.
yeah. So from what I remember reading about it, is like they were planning on, if this wasn't renewed, they had plans to go elsewhere if they needed to, um,
Oh,
outside of HBO. But yeah, it seems like it's going along just fine now. So
all right, very nice. Our Flag Means Death. Highly recommend if you're
yes,
into pirates, quirky comedies. I have enjoyed it very much, and
yeah,
it's getting renewed. It's getting a
yep,
season two. But on the topic of romantic comedies, well, wait, I don't know that I'd call this a romantic comedy, but I am on the Spy X Family bandwagon. I am all in. Like, if you are into, here's the thing about Spy X Family. It starts off like, oh, is this like a slice of life anime? Now, I personally love slice of life animes, but I know it's not for everyone.
uh-huh.
Like, so you're into like you see like, oh, it's gonna be cutesy. It's gonna have all these, will they, won't they, romantic bits. But then you realize, oh no, dude, this is, the Lloyd is a spy, Yor an assassin, and Anya has like telepathic abilities or mind reading abilities, and there's actions, there's action. There's a whole lot of action that happens in the show, sprinkled in with all this cutesy will they, won't they, romantic stuff. And I got so into it. I think at this moment they've subbed or dubbed up to 9 or 8 episodes, but I got so into it that I just had to read ahead. I looked at the manga scans online, and I am very excited for certain characters that are going to show up later in the anime. I will not spoil anything, but there's one character in particular that I'm very much looking forward to. But man, Spy X Family.
Yeah,
Get it if
I
you
think I saw one of the episodes. I think maybe like the first episode or something like that. And
okay.
I didn't realize this was like a relatively new show, or at least recently dubbed or anything. Um, I mean, I
Yeah,
figured
they've been
it had been around for a lot longer, but after you guys started watching it, I started seeing a lot of mentions of this online more. Just so I kind of figured, oh, this is like a recent thing.
Spy X Family is like the anime of the summer right now. Every like
Yeah,
anime fans are talking about it all over, dude.
it's that, and it's the anime fans are all about Spy X Family. The Morbid fans are
Yeah.
Morbius. Did
Spy
you?
X Family
You
and
know,
Morbius. That's the two big things of the summer.
I don't want to derail this too much, but speaking of
We got to
which,
talk about Morbius.
did you see what happened? How they, because of all the memes of it, they decided to. Um, it had already finished its run through theaters,
Uh-huh.
and I think it was last weekend they put it back out in theaters
Yep.
just because of all the quote unquote hype, but it was just because of the memes, and then it bombed a second time. So I don't know
It's funny
how
because
they expected that, how they couldn't have expected that, but
I saw on Jared Leto's Twitter that he did like he had a laugh about reading. He posted a video of himself reading a script for Morbius 2 Morbin Time. So he's in on the joke,
yeah.
but also I don't know that he knows it's a joke. you
Oh,
know?
I'm pretty sure he does. Like,
Yeah, I would
how
hope he's
couldn't he?
self-aware
Yeah,
enough.
yeah.
But
Like
here's
he
the
wouldn't
question,
bring
Tim.
Morbin Time if it wasn't.
Do you think they unironically do Morbius 2 because of all this?
I don't. I have no idea. Like it's possible. Like the character is brought in other. I was gonna say
Oh,
MCU,
that
but
bit
not
for
really.
sure.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know about an actual full on sequel, or at least you know not right now, because it's possible. Like similar to the Suicide Squad, how they kind of it wasn't like I think it was a full on reboot, but they sort of did something like that using a lot of
hmm
the same actors and characters and stuff. But it's possible they bring it back and just retool it with different people involved or whatever.
There were Twitch streams of people streaming Morbius,
Yeah.
and I found one for our personal Discord, and I was like, I don't have the patience to watch through all of this. Let's just watch him morb and let's get it out of our system. And we saw the scene where he morbed, and that was it. I just stopped the stream. Like I did not have the patience to watch the rest of it. But I did see the scene of Matt Smith dancing.
Oh
That's a
yeah.
great scene.
I remember stumbling across that, and then someone's like, "This is an unedited video. This is the actual scene from the movie." It's such a weird thing, and I don't know the context of it, and I don't think I want to know the context.
But on that note, staying like in the news that has captured our attention, Tim, because I don't want to devote too much time to discussing content from other creators or anything like that. But Tim, we are both fans of Giant Bomb. We discuss their content very often, and we're both fans of the personalities that have come through Giant Bomb. I got on board Giant Bomb like '09, 2010. I might be getting my timelines wrong, but I was following them back when they were doing like Persona 4 endurance runs, and then just recently we found out that Jeff Gerstmann, who was like one of the founders of Giant Bomb, has left that company and he just started doing his own thing. And I just wanted to give them a shout out because, like I know, people get kind of weird with like parasocial
Yeah.
relationships with online personalities and stuff like that, but like I do feel a sense that I grew up with these guys, you know what I mean? Like do you remember the TV show Zoom, Tim, on PBS?
Vaguely.
Like it was a bunch of kids and they would play games and they would do arts and crafts and they would encourage you to do it with them. And then and then it's like the next season comes by. You're like, where are my original guys? Where's all the people from season one? And that's kind of, Giant Bomb is kind of my Zoom, but for video games. Like, let me be clear. I still like the people that are still
Oh
currently at
yeah,
Giant
yeah,
Bomb, but like, I still have a lot of love for the OGs. You know what I
yeah.
mean?
Of
So shout out
course.
to those guys at, Nextlander, at, Jeff Gerstmann doing his own thing now. And of course, the people who have remained at Giant Bomb. I love them all, but like,
And then
it,
they
it's,
also
it,
just happen. I don't know how this lined up, but it just also happened to line up with them bringing on like four, you know, quote unquote new people like full time with them. So it was nice for that too. It was also like a nice shakeup as well, outside of just the founder leaving essentially.
right, right. And the Giant Bomb community, I've been looking at the forums and the Reddits, and people
Yeah.
have all sorts of ideas about what's
Oh
going on
yeah.
behind it. We're not going to get into all that because
No.
anything that they want to talk about, that's for them to talk about. I just wanted to give them a shout out because damn, how long have I been following these guys? I don't know.
Longer than me.
You and I, Tim, make inside jokes about their content all the time. So,
Yeah.
you know, uh, shout out to you guys. Shout out to you guys out there.
They were kind of an
But
inspiration to us doing this in a way.
oh yeah, oh yeah. Like it, again, like Tim and I have been fans for a while. So shout out to you guys. And on that note, I want to pivot back to things we've been watching. Have you ever eaten 15 pancakes, Tim, in one sitting?
No.
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 Would you say that it's an upsetting amount of pancakes?
Yeah. Like
We've been
full
watching
full.
review.
Yeah.
How did you find this show, Tim?
Oh, this. So I don't remember when I first saw it, but it was, I don't know, at least within the past 5 years. Probably it was at least a few years ago. I probably stumbled across some random clip or something. Saw that it was a Comedy Central show, but it was like not really easily accessible online other than just like purchasing the show outright on like Amazon or whatever. So I did that like a few years back, and so I watched the whole series back then. And then I hadn't really thought of the show at all, since really until like stumbling across some random meme on Twitter where I think it was like, I don't know how big this meme is, but there was one with like, it was just someone posting a picture of like Scarlet Witch, and the text along with it was like, name someone who went through more pain than her, I'll wait. And like that's been an ongoing meme sort of, where you just show someone who's quote unquote been through a lot of pain or whatever, and then someone responded with that with like a picture of Forrest MacNeil, the main character of Review, just like in agony over eating 15 pancakes.
So for those who haven't watched the series, it is a comedy series,
Yeah,
and the concept is you have a host that will review any life experience that he is given. And
yeah.
so there was like eat 15 pancakes. There was like, what was it? What's it like to be a Batman? What's it like to be chased by the law? What's it like to
What's
get a divorce?
yeah,
What's it
and
like to
it
get married? And
yep,
this is after he had gotten divorced.
yeah, and this is all like playing. It's all in universe of this show, so it's not like a real person doing interacting with real people. It's all done
Mhm.
in universe of this show, and you don't think it's going to be a dark comedy, but then it gets pretty dark as the show
It
progresses.
pivots.
Yeah,
See, here's what I love about the show is that you could do a show like this where you just never mind the continuity. Let's forget that he ever ate the
right.
pancakes. Let's forget that he ever had the divorce. But they keep the
Yeah,
continuity.
they keep the continuity from each episode, and there is actual progression from one episode to the other. Like there was one where he gets really into drugs, and then because of that, he ends up going through rehab and everything. And then like later on in the series, like that becomes a problem with him, where he's still like he can't he's still addicted to drugs, or it comes back to haunt him in some way. And same thing with like the divorce and everything.
You know what this reminds me of, Tim, is that I've been rewatching a lot of clips from NBC's The Office, and
Uh-huh.
this show it's difficult to find the balance of like uncomfortable humor. And I don't know if you've ever watched The
Sure.
Office, but there's
Yeah.
one episode called The Dinner Party where they're having dinner with Jan and
Oh yeah,
Michael
yeah.
at their home, and it strikes that balance of like this is uncomfortable to watch,
Yeah.
but still funny, and I'm gonna
Yes.
stick with it.
Yep.
And that's what review reminds me of. Is like you're watching a train wreck of events happen, but it's just humorous enough to keep you in there.
Yep. And the funny thing about it is that this is all like he could easily just walk away from it, but because he's like committing to the bit of reviewing these life experiences, like this is all on him. He doesn't have to do these things. Like he doesn't have to get a divorce with his wife. Like there was a bit where he just walks up to his wife in the kitchen. She's just doing something, and he's like, "We need to get a divorce." She's like, she laughs him off, and then he's like, "We have to get a divorce for no reason, really."
How many seasons of it are there? Do you know?
There's three, and
Okay.
it's relatively short.
Did we get through season one already?
Um, I don't remember. I will have to look.
All right. All right. You know what the beauty is of doing a video style podcast now is that we can have show and tell segments, which we should plan next time. But maybe that won't be good for our audio listeners. But we'll try to think of something. We'll try to think of something clever next time. But on that note, Tim, you have prepared once again a prompt for us
Oh,
to end the episode on, and the prompt this time is: if you had to give a TED talk, what would it be about?
I mean,
Now,
you've
Tim, do
always
you have? I'm
not
going to take
really.
un momento to ponder this. Do you have an answer for this one?
Nope.
Well, okay.
It's
Let me
funny.
bat lead off then.
I mean, we you make the joke all the time about like whenever you're done streaming something and like thank you for attending my TED talk. And this is like a joke I've seen people make all on the internet all the time. And and at some point, you know, I want to say when I first started seeing TED talks, they were usually like actually educational or something for the most part. And then at some point, like a few years later, they started becoming weird and um, they basically just it felt like it was like purely academic, and then it became like they opened the floodgates to anyone who wants to give a talk about anything. So
I saw one TED talk that was very tongue in cheek about like a TED talk on procrastinating. And then his presentation was like he procrastinated on his presentation.
yeah, I've seen one where it's like how to dry your hands with one paper towel. Like someone just
How long was
and
that TED talk?
not very long, but I think the funniest part of that is for those sort of like TED Talks is you're also getting an audience to commit to joining this talk as well. It isn't just like some random guy doing his own video online or anything. It's just like you have you have all these people showing up to this thing.
Well, okay, I'll bat lead off with what my TED talk would be about. I don't know. I'm gonna just I don't know how I'm gonna piece this together, but my idea is that when I first got into the industry, gaming industry, 2013, I had recently finished my bachelor's degree in game art and design, and I got a QA gig part time, and one of my coworkers was like a recently graduated high school student who had not accrued any college loan debt or anything like that. Now, let me be clear, I'm not salty with him. He ended up becoming one of my best friends at that studio. So please understand, I'm not salty about the fact that he had no college debt and got into the industry. But in my mind, I sometimes ponder like, could I have gotten into the game industry without having gotten, a college degree? And surely I could have, especially in a QA tester role. I would encourage people to, if you're interested in that kind of line of work, do stuff like be part of beta test programs in a game community, or be part of a game, be a moderator at a game community forum to show that you have like social skills to mediate tough situations or anything like that. So I would do a weird type of TED talk about like, so you want to get in the game industry but you don't want to go into college loan debt. I think I because that's something I ponder. If I had an opportunity to do it all over again, I think I would have skipped going into college debt altogether I mean, it all worked out in the end.
Yeah.
In the end, I paid it all off, but still, like, stings. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? But yeah, I think that's what my TED talk would be about, especially because I remember a time when I had recently graduated, and there was a website called Game Dev Map or something like this where
Yeah.
I was browsing it regularly, trying to look for
Yeah.
what's in the area, and I was looking up forum threads about like, how do you get into the industry? And every answer was like, oh, it's timing and luck. And that was so frustrating for me because it's like if
Right.
it's timing and luck, I might as well buy lotto tickets. But
Yeah. It is, but
I mean, yeah. I told myself I'd get into the industry and find a better answer than timing and luck,
yep.
and it's timing and luck. And you can
Yeah.
do small things to nudge yourself to be there in the right place at the right time, but like it's timing and luck. Hang on, that's what it is.
I will say it is. It has gotten a little easier, at least on development skills. Like you can, make your own projects and stuff, and then post online and slowly build up a following or whatever. As well as like a big part of it is just networking with people online who are, willing to actually talk to you. Because not everyone. Because you don't want to just go up to any random developer online and just start trying to start a conversation with them because they might not always be interested or whatever. Um, but yeah, I think for me, like something along those lines as well. I was thinking maybe something with having to do with maybe game jams or something. Because I enjoy doing them, but I just don't. I just rarely find the time to do them. Um, but they're a lot of fun to do.
Before
Eh,
we wrap up this episode, we had our notes, but I'm forgetting two very important topics I wanted to discuss. First of all, Resident Evil 4 is getting a remake. I'm
oh right,
excited for that. We watched that in the Sony State of Play, and
right.
I w- it wasn't a lot, but what I saw was pretty cool so far. I don't think they showed Leon's face though, but I think was it you or someone else who linked me that the jacket he wears in the trailer is actually a real jacket you can buy, and it costs like $1,500, and that's
Of
like
course,
a lot of money to spend to feel like Leon. But I kind of want that jacket.
it
The
better
other
be a
thing I
good
wanted to
quality jacket.
discuss. Oh, yeah, I guess before we roll off, did you have any thoughts on RE4? Now that you're an Resident Evil expert, Tim, after playing Resident Evil 2.
Um, yeah, I would be more interested in trying out this remake than any of the previous versions of the game.
Okay, okay. And on that note, I wanted to discuss Sonic Frontiers because I like the idea of Sonic open world, but everything I've seen of that game so far has not filled me with overwhelming excitement
Yeah,
because there's not a lot going on in that open world.
yeah, it feels very empty. With here's the occasional like Sonic style puzzles or whatever you want to call it, and it's or
And there's
challenges,
like,
and it's just it doesn't seem like much going on.
here's a big open area with intricately placed rails and springs, and it's cool, but also what else is going on in this open
Yeah,
area? I saw a clip of like Sonic fighting a giant bad guy. That's exciting. Let's
yeah.
see more. Let's see more of that stuff.
I mean,
I don't
combat
know.
was
I
never
think.
was combat ever good in a Sonic game?
Whoa, now Tim, them's
I'm just
fighting
asking.
words.
I know I'm asking because I don't know beyond just like the
uh,
basic platformer ones.
I got on board the Sonic hype train around Sonic Adventure and Sonic Adventure 2, and if you're into the Sonic community, that means I'm one of those. So I thought the combat was good in Adventure and Adventure 2, but there are people who would vehemently
Sure.
disagree with me. So there you go. Uh, yeah, it just after the hype of Sonic 2 the movie and how well it reviewed, I really want Sonic Frontiers to be a home run, but I'm not sold on it just yet.
Yeah.
I guess I've been burned enough times with Sonic releases that I'm very skeptical first. But
Yeah, I'm
on
not.
that note,
I mean, I wouldn't say I. I'm definitely of the camp of just like I don't want any game to be bad or anything like that. But yeah, it doesn't. at least what they've showed so far, it's lacking for sure.
Yeah. Well, on that note, that puts us just about at what are we at? Just about the 1 hour mark. Oh, almost exactly.
Yeah.
On that note, everyone, I hope you enjoyed this first like if you're watching on YouTube or something, this is our first attempt at a video style podcast. Hope you enjoyed it, and if you're listening to us on our usual, iTunes or iPod podcast or iPod podcast, what am I doing?
iPodcast.
I'm losing it. Who still has an iPod for that matter? I might still have
Some
mine
people.
somewhere tucked away.
I
But
don't.
on that note, like, yeah, tell us what you think, or if you're listening to us, you hop on the YouTube, check out the video style podcast. Let us know what you think. Tweet us at GarageLore or send us an email garagelore@gmail.com. You should check us out on TikTok where we post like quick snippets of our content from our streams. And our TikTok is at GarageLore also. Otherwise, I hope you all enjoyed this. Our first video style podcast. Exciting times, everyone. We'll see you next time, all right?
See ya.